Hey, dude. Hope you're all well. This week, I'm going to continue my series on teamwork and the six steps that you need to take to develop teamwork in your business. This will serve you whether you've got an existing business or a new business. It's really about resetting the culture so that people work together. Now, one of the biggest problems that people have with teamwork when you've got a business is that people in one part of the business, could be the technical part of the business, don't talk to the other people in the sales part of the business. Now, this affects you whether you're a business of 20 or whether you're a business of 1,000, because as soon as there's disconnects in communication and relationship between people, the external stakeholders suffer: your customers, your suppliers, your partners, the people who rely on those functions working together to get stuff done. Not to mention that it creates really, really poor, relationships and culture within the organization. People, don't really talk to one another and they avoid one another. So it becomes pretty icky working in a place like this. So we all know that's not what we want, but no one ever really talks about what to do about it. So in this video, I'm gonna really address the problem of silos and what you can do about it. Let me just share with you a couple of case studies of some work that I've been doing. Hang on, let me just get that up for you. And specifically four sort of things, strategies that you can use. Hang on, just need to make sure I'm on the right network. Let's try this again. Okay, here we go. Got it working. When you share a screen, you need to be on the same Wi-Fi network. The iPad, which is what, wrong way around, that is on, the content's on, needs to be on the same Wi-Fi network as the computer. Got it. All right, so here's what we're doing in this series is we are talking about 6 steps to increase teamwork. These are the ones we've covered. We have covered so far, let's tick them off. How to identify the business problem that teamwork's causing and what your teamwork problem is. If you're interested in doing that for yourself, let me know. I can send you the info on that, or look on the page that you see this video on. You'll see a video on that. That's the first step. Step 2 is developing collective goals. So having a collective vision in your organization at the top level of your organization, purpose, mission, so that there's actually a reason to work together. Third one is increasing alignment and connection between levels within your organization, so that your level 1, 2, and 3 leaders have a reason to work together. And then building collective capability, so teamwork capability. What we're going to do now is the 5th thing is, once you've done all those things, another massive enabler of teamwork is the reduction in friction and lack of trust between functions or divisions within the organization. If you nail this, you get true functional teamwork, as in, rather than people working within their functions, they work collectively together to achieve your mission. Okay, so let's have a chat about that. Here's the work we've done so far. Again, if you need copies of any of that, let me know. Today we're going to talk about disconnects between divisions and functions. Okay, so what we're really talking about here is an outcome where culturally we want to create a team of teams. So if you think about the fact that in many organizations, there's a sales team, right? There's a marketing team, there's a delivery team, and there's, then the back office, and I won't go into all those teams as well. In many organizations, rather than acting like a set of teams that work together for a common vision, these groups themselves have their own cultures and ways of working that disconnect with the others, right? So rather those relationships being strong at all levels, there's actually breakages at certain levels where different people don't work with one another. Now, we don't want that. We want as a team of teams. Now, the analogy here is that the traditional way of looking at organizational structure was a linking pin structure. So the way you created the disconnects, those connections, was this sort of blue way of looking at it, which was that between those functions, let's go into that a bit detailed, each one of these managers here, here, and here had a relationship with one another. And that was enough to create alignment between levels. Now, I don't know about you, but my experience is that that doesn't always work, because these people still get very focused on their own function and their own KPIs at the cost of the collective KPIs. So when this person's got their KPIs for sales, this person's got the KPIs for marketing, this person's got the KPIs for delivery, this person's got the KPIs for back office, and never shall they meet. Now, so that linking pin historically has failed. So those organizations traditionally are the most siloed organizations of all. And so what we're moving to is, rather than linking pin, what we're moving to is this idea of flocking. Yeah, I did say flocking. Okay, you people that are got you're in the gutter. And what this idea is that instead of just being linked through one person, it's the idea that the whole organization is like a flock of birds. And what we want them to do is just, have you ever seen a video of a big flock of birds flying through the air, and then something distracts that head bird, the bird at the front, call them the head bird, whatever. And the whole flock pivots as one. Have you seen that before? That's what I'm talking about. That's what we want in terms of flocking. Now, to achieve that, we want to look at a particular process where people from these different functions, sales, marketing, delivery, all these different functions, are given specific team roles to create connections between those different functions so that you get more of a flocking effect. You following me? Okay, so let me be practical for a minute. If you're in your team, you'd give each team member collective responsibility for this activity across multiple teams. All right, so you give you an example. If you're in sales and you had a team of 8, you would give one person responsibility for finding out this one thing across marketing, across delivery, and across back office. And they would report on that and bring that into your team. Make sense? If it doesn't, just message me, right? Ask me a question, get in touch, right? So again, this is about creating a flocking, not a flocking culture, not where everyone moves together rather than linking pin. And what we're doing is giving each one of your team members responsibility for a collective activity that reduces the gaps between divisions. 4 things. The first one is give someone in your team responsibility for the collective vision. So that means there's someone in your team that is talking to your group about how the other functions in the organization contribute to the collective vision. Make sense? So that person would literally, if you're in sales, they'd be going to marketing, delivery, and back office, and they'd be coming back and saying, this is how these guys contribute to what we do as a team of teams, as a whole organization. All right. The second one is you would then be giving people a role, someone in your team, a role around the collective intelligence. Now, the idea around collective intelligence is there's things that happen in certain functions that actually that that have happened externally, that they don't just impact your function, but they impact the other functions in the organization. And too often what we do is we hold that information in rather than letting everyone else know what that is. So the job of this person is to inform people with relevant information. And the example here is, let's say, the people in customer service or sales hear that, excuse my phone, hear that a customer doesn't like a particular part of the service or the product, and they need it changed. And traditionally what happens is that doesn't go anywhere beyond sales. It never gets passed into the technical team. And so if we use this way of thinking, then we're much more focused on sharing that information across the organization. The third is, how do you collectively plan resources? Now, the example here is, like, it's down to the practicalities of, we've got a spare desk this week and you've got a new starter. Can we share that with you? But the other way is, we've got a slow week or aren't very busy. You're really busy. How can we share those resources or plan those together? And to what extent could you have a team member that was somewhat involved in that? And then the fourth one is innovation diffusion. So to what extent could you get someone in your team to be in charge of spreading the innovations or ideas that are being generated in your team into the other teams to create that cross-fertilization? So what I wanted to talk about this week was how to create a team of teams rather than disconnects and divisions between functions in your organization. The idea here is, instead of linking pin, we're moving towards an organization that can pivot fast, and it's like a flock of birds. And the 4 ways we do that: we give team members in our organization responsibility for going out into the organization and collecting and having conversations that either collect information or give information into your team or out of your team. And that way it creates those relationships. 4 things is collecting information on how the other functions contribute to your shared purpose. Collecting intelligence from those other functions that impact your business model and the way you work within your function. Collectively planning resources with those other functions, and diffusing innovations across the organization that come from certain teams into others. Remember, the problem is this, which is when organizations don't truly work with teamwork, they don't get the execution they want, they don't get the culture they want, and they don't get the execution they want, right? So if you want innovation, execution, and culture, teamwork is a massive part of that. And what I've talked about today is, how do you reduce gaps between functions, what we call silos in the organization, and get people working together. I hope that's been useful. Talk to you next time on The Reason and the